I'm excited. In this video, I'd like to show you one of my new devices, which I am testing for now. This is purely for experimental purposes right now. What this is mimics a intense solar light. Instead of concentrating solar light using mirrors, I decided to artificially create solar light. This is not exactly the spectrum you would get out of the sun, but this is mimicking it and somewhat close to it. To the left here, I have LED driver. This is pretty strong 600 watt LED driver. And to the right here, I have 4 LED COBs, COB chip on the board, that I grouped them together and placed them on a large heatsink, and I added a fan on the back for active cooling. In this setup, from my testing, I was able to push 580 watt into these chips. This driver is over 95% efficient, and the LED COBs are over 80% efficient. So if we calculate 570 watts total power consumption between 5% losses on the driver and 20% losses on COBs converted into the heat, we would be getting around, I don't know, not exactly sure, around 400 watt of light. That's basically pure light produced 400 watt of energy that's converted into the light form. This results in very intense light emitted from this setup. With this intense light, I can produce heat signature. I can even make it more intense than sunlight. You know how back in the days, sunlight was used to treat just about anything, especially when it comes to different skin diseases. And this idea came to me from the fact that sunlight is very effective against different pathogens, fungi, bacteria, virus, different pathogens that we could have, and sunlight is able to kill it. As I said, this is an experimental setup, purely experimental for now, and I decided to test it out on a larger bugs. So I went in the woods and I collected ticks. Let me show you here. Here is 1, 2, I got like 6 of them or something. And I used a clear sticky tape. I placed the tape on my hand, and then I placed the ticks over on the tape so they wouldn't run. And I turned the setup on and crank it up about halfway and expose the ticks to the light for a few seconds, maybe 5-6 seconds. And the end result is I wasn't able to burn myself, but at the same time I was able to kill those ticks. Here are the ticks that I experimented with. They're dead, they're not moving around. So you guys, if you've seen my previous video, do remember me showing you the microscopic ticks, which are invisible. Same to these ticks, they look very similar, but they're so small that they're invisible to the human eye. In my opinion, most of the people are infected with them. Due to the nature of these bugs, before they crawl under the skin for a blood meal, they will be crawling around and picking up fungals, bacteria, viruses, you name it, and dirt, and as they crawl under the skin, they'll deliver them. As we know, these larger ones, they can carry over 20 different diseases like Lyme disease and multiple other ones that are already studied and known. These bloodsuckers are able to infect us with bad, nasty diseases. So, in my opinion, the microscopic ones, the ones that are invisible, they're able to do the same thing as these guys. And these ones cannot really multiply on our skin in large numbers because we would spot them and we will destroy them. But the ones that are invisible, we don't do much about them, and they multiply in large numbers, and they keep on reinfecting us with different diseases like skin rashes, pimples, different itches, irritations, and you name it. Viruses, bacterial infection, fungal infections, they can deliver all of them, all those parasites, pathogenic parasites under our skin and infect us with. So the idea is with this setup is to mimic a sunlight, and by introducing very intense sunlight, we can treat different infections. And just like with these bugs here, different infections, they, especially like fungal infections, they cannot really tolerate intense light, sunlight, and heat. They do not like that. And by introducing them to the intense light, we can possibly kill them. So in this setup, as I showed you guys, I am able to test this theory out. And so this is the very first prototype which I have made, and it will be improved further, and hopefully I'll have some product that I can offer later. But for now, this is as an experiment that I'd like to show you. And let me turn it on so you can see how intense the light from this device. This is the intensity knob, and I can increase intensity. It blinds me. It's really intense, even halfway up. One more thing, sunlight produces continuous light, and this setup is dependent on the intensity, but only at 100% intensity will produce continuous light. But as you crank it down or up, the way we're able to adjust the intensity on these COBs are by pulsing it. This driver pulsates at 300 kilohertz, which is 300,000 times a second. It will produce a pulse and then shut the pulse off. It depends on our setting here. This pulse will vary in duty on and duty off. For example, duty on of 10% and duty off of 90% will output 10% of intensity. If we increase the duty 50-50, then it will be 50% intensity. So that's how this driver is adjusting the intensity of the LEDs. What this is good with is that even though this is very intense setup, but by adjusting intensity down to like 30%, when these LEDs do turn on, they'll turn on and it will consume close to 600 watt of power. And because they consume close to 600 watt of power, this intense, they'll they'll produce very intense pulse, and these intense pulses are able to penetrate much deeper inside the body, inside under the skin, and at the same time they are not going to be able to heat up as fast the tissue, the skin. So that's the bonus of this setup. It's like intense pulsating light. That's what it is. There are technology out there which offer similar pulsating lights, but they're not way more weaker, and instead of pulsating 300 times a second, they pulsate maybe 10 times a second, and it will be like a flashes. And they are known to have positive effect on wrinkles, on dark spots on the skin, and many other things this intense pulsating light is used for. So this is similar to that, but my version, instead of, as I said, pulsating 10 times a second, this pulsates 300,000 times a second. And instead of being like 80, 50, 80, 100 watt, this is 600 watt almost. 400 watt of pure light. All right, guys, just wanted to show you this project and share it with you, and wanted to know your opinion and your thoughts on this project. Share your comments down below, subscribe for more. I'll see you in the next one.